Welcome back to another episode of the Self-Made Podcast, you guys, and today's episode is going to be all about patience. So patience is actually something that I always said, I just wasn't born with. I simply didn't have until I learned that it's a skill that we have to build, and that honestly changed my entire perspective on patience itself, but then also life, because more times than not was I sitting there getting overwhelmed, anxious, stressed out when I couldn't control the amount of time I was allotted, or if I couldn't rush something or slow something down. I'm just not patient, and nobody in my family is. And honestly, it used to be a running joke, the Trcas were just not patient, and I used to almost idolize the fact that I was impatient. I like to get things done, I liked to hustle, I like to be efficient, be productive, be just always on the go, always doing something. And that one I've also learned is unhealthy for me. That's not a good character trait. And two, it's just, I don't even think I understood what patience was. I literally viewed patience as being hustle and grind and not really taking any time off and not slowing down and not resting. But that is so wrong. So what patience actually is it's the ability to be calm in the face of adversity, frustration, and or suffering. And in any given situation, you'll respond with some amount of patience. So think about it. If you're in any sort of adversity or frustration or suffering and you're reacting out of impulse and reacting out of impatience, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be healthy, and it's not going to help you cope and deal with that situation that you have on hand, at least not in the best way that you possibly can. So it's being able to slow down, take a step back, and process what's going on is one, going to help you actually solve the problem, but two, it's just going to help you stay calm and lower the anxiety and lower the stress, and actually help you think about how to solve that problem better and more clearly. And it makes life a lot better and a lot more peaceful, and it's just so important, because I think that there's a big misconception on just what patience is in general, and we need to stop idolizing being impatient. And maybe most people do, maybe I just don't, but I don't know. I just really am focused on patience recently, and that's probably my biggest focus right now, is learning how to be patient and being patient in the times where I typically am very impatient. And I guess, like I said, it's a skill. We can develop it. We can build our patience, and we learn to grow within patience. And again, you don't need to just brush it off as it being who you are, because that's always what I did. I'm just not a patient person. Patience is something I don't have. But it's something I can learn to have, and it's something I need to learn to have, especially as you're aging and you're adulting and you're going into life. It's you gotta learn to be patient, especially if you want to be a parent or you want to be a coworker or a good spouse. You need patience with other people. You need to learn patience with yourself. You need to learn patience within a journey of something. All good things take time. Truly they do. But I honestly too think that it's because of the day and age we live in. We live in such a hustle culture. I'm a big supporter of working hard and being efficient and productive. I am, but it's it comes with a cost, and you can't do things to your best ability if you're not slowing down and processing it and doing it within its own time. Because again, divine timing, everything happens in the right amount of time. So it's trying to rush through something isn't going to do you any good. But I just feel with this day and age, we've really grown to get so used to instant gratification. We literally can get anything within seconds. I mean, think about Amazon Prime. You can get stuff to your door within the day without even leaving your house. Uber Eats, you can get food literally delivered to your door within an hour. You don't have to cook, you don't have to get up, you don't have to do anything. Boom, it's there. Social media, you can instantly literally find any sort of social interaction in a second. You can Google anything in a second. We don't really have to work to find stuff much at all anymore. And I feel it's given us this urge to have things instantly, and we have no patience due to that. And actually, there was a study I found when I was researching patience, and it said that 45% of Americans say that they're less patient than they were 5 years ago. And I truly think it's because of social media. It's because of Amazon Prime. It's because of just instant access to literally everything on the internet, on our phones that are literally glued in our hands at all times. But even things like dating apps, it's we don't even take the time to date before, Tinder, 2 seconds you're swiping. I mean, I've never had Tinder, but it's you don't even take the time to get to know a person. It's you look at them, boom, next one, next one, next one, next one, next one, next one. You go through 15 people in the span of 15 seconds, and it's just slow down, take time, like get to know someone. I feel like too, just in dating in general, we're so impatient. We're just rushing to the next thing, we're rushing to the next thing. People are speeding through relationships, like everything in life. We're just speeding through it, and we're not taking the time that it needs to build a healthy relationship or build a healthy business. Or I don't know, like in the gym and stuff, it's like people are like, Chloe, I've been working out so consistently for a month, like I haven't seen any results. And it's like, fitness to me is like the biggest, I feel like it's helped me realize how important patience is, because it's something that I've truly seen, like from start to finish, the power of patience and consistency and hard work. And it takes time. A lot of good things take time. Everything in life that's worth having, it's going to take a little hard work and it's going to take some time. Like nothing really truly happens overnight too often, you know, not many good things. And it's like, yeah, I feel like the gym really just helped me understand that firsthand and experience it and actually believe it and stay true to it. Because you're not going to get your dream physique in overnight, in a month, in 2 months. Like it's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 months, years even, to get your dream physique. And same with like, for me, running. And it's like, running was something that's very new to me, so I have a lot of connections to it, because it's like I'm still kind of on my running journey. But like, I have to be so patient with myself on my runs. I can't rush through the runs. I have to be patient with myself throughout the trainings. It's like, I'm training for my second half marathon right now, and it's like, I've already ran one, so you'd think you'd be able to just go run another one, but it's like, no. Like, we're starting back over with the training, and I need to learn to be patient with myself and trust the process and take the time to get through the whole training block and the 12-week program that I'm following. It's like, it's not going to happen overnight, and that's just literal, like, a first-hand example of patience. But then again, like I said, in relationships, it's like, it's so important. Friendships or like intimate relationships, you have to learn to be patient with people, and it's like, allow things to happen as they naturally do and as they're meant to do. I feel like a lot of times in relationships, one, it's easy to compare yourself to another relationship and be like, oh, like they're already doing this, they're going on trips together, or she met his parents already, or like they're engaged or having babies. And it's like, you start to compare yourself to everyone else, but it's like, they're in their own time. At least I hope they're in their own time, you know. And it's like, everyone's meant to be in different positions at different times. And I feel like even in life, like, we're just so in a rush to get to the next thing, and it's like, enjoy the moment, enjoy the now, enjoy the journey, because that's the good part. I feel like that's where you find the most joy. And again, it reminds me too of like when I was training for my half marathon. It was like, I thought I would feel all this happiness and all this joy the second I crossed the finish line, but it was the moment that I crossed the finish line that I realized that I was like, okay, the joy and the happiness, it came from the 12 weeks that I was preparing for this, that I stayed consistent, that I would go on those hard runs, that I could help people through their running and their difficulties within their half marathon training, and getting the messages from people that were like, you inspired me to start running. Like, that's where I feel the most joy, that's where I got the most happiness from. And it was like, honestly, the run was fun, like, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. It's like, I felt more joy throughout the journey and throughout the process. And I think that just says so much about like life. And it's like, we are always so focused on getting to the end goal and to the end point that we don't enjoy the process of getting there. And it's like, for me, another thing, like, I talk about relationships all the time, so it's like very prevalent in my life. Like, I'm single, I'm like in my single season. I've been single for almost 2 years, and it's like, I used to be like, oh, I want a boyfriend so bad, but it's like, Chloe, just enjoy the singleness, the season of being single, because it's such a beautiful thing, and it's something you have for a small percentage of your life. Like, once I meet the man of my dreams and my future husband, like, I'll be with him for the rest of my life. So it's like, focus on enjoying your singleness and enjoying life in your 20s and being alone and the amazing things that being single brings to you. It's like, enjoy the journey of that and the process of that, because again, if I'm trying to rush it, I'll start to settle for men and boys that I'm not meant to be with, and then it's just going to leave me heartbroken and empty and discouraged. And that's what I've kind of been doing. So it's like, I've taken a step back, and it's like, okay, I trust in God's timing, I trust in the plan. Like, I don't need to be 22 and with the man of my dreams and getting engaged like a lot of people that I see on social media. It's like, oh my god, everyone's getting engaged, everyone's getting married, everyone's dating, everyone's in these long-term relationships. And it's like, I'm getting stressed because I'm like, I'm still so single, that it's like, you know, you have to date for so many years, and you get engaged, and then you get married, and then you have kids. And it's like, I'm 22, and I'm thinking this at 22, so I can't even imagine the people who are 25, 28, 30 that are feeling like this. But it's like, trust in God's timing, trust in life, be patient with it, because there's no sense in rushing it and then it being a waste of your time because you're settling and you're not truly happy. It's like, I'd rather be so single because I can make my own self happy and I can enjoy life in general alone. Like, I don't need to depend on another man to make me happy. And like, I'm not saying that another man won't make me happier, but like, I'm happy right now. So it's like, I'm not going to settle for a man that I think will make me happy when he really doesn't. So it's like, that's ladies, or even men, like, keep your standards high, because it's like, when you meet somebody, they should only be making your life better. Me talking with my hands, this is why I'm glad I'm video recording my podcast now so you can see. But like, my friend taught me that, and I think that was just like the most like eye-opening, understanding moment ever, because she's like, I am so happy, I am so content with who I am and where I'm at in my life. She's like, it's gonna take a lot for a man to pretty much enhance my life and make me better. And I'm like, bingo, bango, that's exactly right. And again, it takes patience, and I think we just get so rushed into thinking we need to settle down and settle for people in our lives, or for jobs, or for literally anything. It's like, just be patient. If you just had a little patience, I promise you it would be worth the wait. And I know it's so much easier said than done. Patience is so hard. Like I said, it's something I work on every single day, and it's kind of my focus right now, but I think I'm learning it in every single aspect of my life, in work, in relationships, in friendships, in training and working out and exercise. Like, everything, it takes time and it takes patience. But again, that's where the joy is. That's where the happiness is in the journey. And it's just a beautiful thing. Patience is just such a broader topic than I even imagined in my own head. But I guess traits that can determine a person's level of patience boils down to a few things. One is the habits that we develop. So if we're continually creating these habits that are constantly rushing and not being patient, like, how do you expect yourself to be patient? Like, when you're trying to get a million things done in the day because you're trying to get something done by a certain day, which I get, deadlines are important, but it's like, do you really need it? Like, do you really need to rush through it that bad? It's like, give yourself time, or maybe pre-plan further ahead to give yourself more time to get something done. But then even it boils down to like impatient people, it's the fact that they're kind of unable to regulate their emotions. And that, I think, is the biggest thing for me. Is as a younger kid, like growing up, probably up until the age of like 14, around puberty, I was the most hypersensitive human being you've ever met. I'm not kidding. Like, so sensitive, like so shy, so sensitive. Like, I would cry over everything would hurt my feelings, okay? And then I think I stopped wanting to be sad, and I stopped wanting to get my feelings hurt, that I put up this freaking, I don't even know, shield across all my feelings and emotions, and I literally had none. And I cut that off until probably, I'm not joking you, like 2 years ago, a year ago, like maybe a year ago. So probably from like 14 to 20, 21, I did not know how to handle my emotions. And I'm like, I don't know how I was in a 6-year relationship with that. Like, I feel bad for my ex, because I'm like, I didn't know how to handle my emotions at all. And I'm like, that's just part of growing up. And it's like, it's really just crazy to like look back and like understand that and see that now. But it's like, in the littlest moments, it's like, I would panic, I would stress, I would freak out, and I would like work myself up into a frenzy. Is that how we say frenzy? But it's like, I was unable to regulate my emotions. Like, I couldn't control when I would be so sad or so happy or so angry, so stressed out. Like, it just makes sense as to why I was such an impatient person as well. And then the other thing that determines our level of patience is just like our overall expectations. So it's like, if we set ourselves up to expect to get something done at this point, or to be at this point by the time we're 22, or to be married by the time we're this age, or to have a career like jump by this point, or to make this much money at this point, it's like, that's what's causing the impatience. It's like, just trust life and just trust the process. I'm a huge component of like goals and setting goals and achieving them, but it's also like, don't let it consume you, you know? Like, don't let that cause you to be impatient and cause you to rush things and not fully do them in the correct course of time, you know? But I don't know, we just really normalize instant gratification, and I think that's like one of my least favorite things about society nowadays, because it's only getting worse. I'm like, every day I feel like there's like a new update, or there's like a new app, or there's new something that just like helps you get that instant gratification, and it's just, we're seeking pleasure. I talked about that on last week's episode, but it was like, put pleasure aside and like really just work and get through life, because it's just, we're seeking pleasure too quickly. And it's, I think when we get pleasure like in 2 seconds and instantly, it's like it takes away from the joy of the journey, like I said. And it's like, when you get something so quickly, you don't really work for it, you don't really build up to that and then be able to enjoy it, you know. And I feel like you learn so much throughout the journey. And I know you're probably like, Chloe, like, we were literally talking about instant gratification with like Uber Eats, but it's like, even the process of like cooking your own food, like that's a process and a journey, and it can be so enjoyable and fun, and you can do it with other people. It's a skill, like you can get creative, you can just kind of unwind. Like, I love cooking. It's like it's one of my like favorite hobbies. It's kind of like a pastime, I don't know, therapeutic for me a little bit. But it's like, when I just DoorDash and Uber Eats, it's like I don't really actually appreciate the food in itself either. So I don't know, it boils down to a lot, you guys. Like, truly, like every aspect of our life, I feel like we can be more patient in, and step back and stop seeking pleasure so instantly, you know, and make ourselves work for things a bit more. That's like something I'm doing, and I think it makes you, one, feel like you have more purpose, you feel more confident, you enjoy it more, you have more happiness. Like, there is a lot of benefits to it, and it's just like, I don't know, the instant gratification of pleasure, like I'm just over it. I really am. In this era of my life, I'm over it, because I think I overconsumed it, and it consumed my life, and I feel like that's why I felt very unfulfilled for a long time. Anyway, the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just the fact that, like, on that is like the quick fixes of dopamine rushes for pleasure is like what's killing us. We literally get a rush of dopamine in 2 seconds, and like I said, it's for that pleasure and that instant gratification, but it's literally, it's ruining us. It really, really is. It's ruining me in our society, and I just feel like we just have the most impatient society, and it just terrifies me for the future, because it's like, what? I don't know. I feel like we just get things so instantly nowadays. It's like scary. And like I said, the more instant gratification we're getting online or in work or literally in any aspect, the less satisfying it becomes. It's like we expect to get it so quick, you know, and it's like we're let down when we don't get it quick anymore, and then it's like a nuisance. It's annoying. It's annoying when you have to cook your dinner instead of just DoorDashing it to your house, and it's annoying when your Instagram isn't like refreshing every 30 seconds, and it's annoying when, I don't even know, like it's just you get so frustrated, you know. But it's like, holy cow, you don't need something every 2 seconds, you know. Or like when shipping takes more than 2 days, it's like, oh my god, like I don't even want it. Holy cow. You know what, like, you can wait a couple extra days to get the package. Like, do you need it that bad? If you do, drive your little booty to the store and go pick it up, you know. Anyway, I'm getting heated about this. Like, I'm very passionate, but it's just like blows my mind to think about how like impatient we are in freaking every aspect of our life. But really, like, truly, like, our brains just don't get that thrill that they used to. At least mine doesn't, and I feel like a lot of people's don't. It's just like we expect that now. And like I said earlier, things that determine our level of patience is our expectations, and I feel like we just have the highest expectations now for like getting things so quickly. And it's like, just enjoy the process and the journey and learn throughout the journey, you know. It builds character. It does. It teaches you a lot. There's a lot of lessons in the journey. But yeah, I feel like we just become more irritable too, like when you don't get those things right away, and then it just ruins your mood. And it's like, would we be happier if we had to become more patient? My answer to that is yes. I know I would be. The ways to become more patient, this is some stuff that I researched and found some like tips on, because I'm like, this is something that I'm working on myself. The first way to become more patient would be to reframe the issue. Literally look at the issue that you have at hand and change your perspective on it, and think about, like, why does this actually bother me? How could this help me? How could I shift what's going on to make it better? You know, it's like, reframe it, because there's always like the opposite perspective of a situation. So it's like, be an optimist. It can be hard, but a lot of times in moments where I'm like upset, it's like I think about, why is this happening? How could this benefit me? What is this trying to teach me? And I feel like that helps a lot, that like having that frame of mind in every situation. And the second way to become more patient is to practice mindfulness. So this pretty much is just kind of saying, like, identify your feelings and emotions, and actually take the time to process how you're feeling, rather than just finding something to distract you from that. So it's like, slow down, think about, why do I feel like this? What is causing this emotion? Why do I feel like this? How can I make it feel better? And then typically, when you actually process things, you learn and you develop a solution to that problem, and then it's not going to happen again. But I feel like when we distract ourselves when something goes wrong, we just like open up our phone and we just like try to get over it by like scrolling TikTok. We're not actually analyzing ourselves and thinking about like why this happened and how can I fix it and how can I avoid it happening again. So it's like, okay, we need to slow down and just have more patience with something and have patience with ourselves and process things. Okay? And number 3, another way to become more patient is to just show more gratitude. Okay? So this is just think about something that you're grateful for in the moment and how you could be grateful for this situation and why you're grateful. So how, why, and just think of multiple ways why you're grateful for this. And that can be hard, but it's really going to make you stop and think, and I promise you there's going to be something. There's going to be some way that you're grateful or can be grateful, you know? It can be such a small thing too. Like it can be so small and minuscule, and it can be such a huge epiphany of like, oh my gosh, like this happened because I actually need to do this instead, or this is actually giving me the time to do this instead, you know? And sometimes you might not realize that until after the fact, and it's like, whoa, if I would have waited, or because I did wait, I gained this, and I gained this, and I met this person, and I had that experience, you know? So sometimes that's after the fact, but gratitude is just a huge thing in life, and it does obviously increase the amount of joy, I feel like, and happiness we have every single day too. And then another way to become more patient is just getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable, because a lot of times we're impatient because we're uncomfortable. Like when we want something to hurry up, it's because we're not comfortable in that moment. Like we're not happy. It's hard, you know, like a lot of things that we want to be over quickly are painful, or they're, I don't know, they're hard, you know? Like running. When I'm running, it's like I get impatient because it's hard. Running's physically and mentally exhausting. So it's like you want it to be over as quickly as you can, but it's like, just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get used to that feeling of discomfort, and it will teach you so many things, and it will toughen your mind, and it will toughen your body, and yeah, so that's a huge one. I feel like that's probably the biggest thing for me, is just to get more used to like those uncomfortable waiting periods, because waiting isn't fun. Waiting is so uncomfortable because there's a lot of unknowns, especially too of like, when is this going to be over? You never know. But it's like just trust in God's plan, trust in life, the universe, whatever you believe in. But it's like everything happens in the right timing, divine timing. So it's like just trust that you're going through this for this extended period of time for a reason. And then the last one is just to overall just slow down. And this is another thing that I need to actively work on, because I'm a go person. That's just the way I was born and raised. That's how I've always been. So learning to just slow down and not rush everything. I'm a person that I'm like, I get annoyed doing something and I'm like, I just want it to be over. So I like rush it and I just on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. But it's like it takes away, one, from the journey of it, the process of it, and two, it's probably not my best work put in. So just slow down and trust in God's timing. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about with patience is just ways to work on your patience as well. So we talked about ways to become more patient, and then now we're talking about ways to kind of like just overall work on your patience actively. So the first one is identify when you're impatient and what emotions you're feeling. So this is kind of similar to before, but it's like, think about like, when do I feel the most impatient in life, and how do I feel in those moments? And that's just going to help you become more self-aware with yourself in a moment of impatience. And two, reframe the situation the way you think about it. So it's like, think about those times where you're feeling impatient. Like, this is something you can work on without even being like in the moment. It's like me sitting here right now, I'm impatient when I'm cooking because I want to eat quickly. So it's like, reframe it and be like, okay, taking the time to cook and actually enjoy food and get creative and try new things. Like, that's exciting, that's fun, I can gain something from it. So it's like, I'm gonna be less impatient cooking next because I'm gonna actually enjoy the journey and the process and try to learn something new, or try to do a new technique, or try a new ingredient, you know? So boom, that's an example of reframing. And then three is, think about your purpose in mind. So when you're impatient, just think back to like, why am I going through this? So for example, relationships, you're getting impatient dating, but be like, why am I waiting? Why am I going through this? You're waiting for your person, you're waiting for the right person, you're not settling, you know? So it's like, that's your purpose. And then for another way to just work on patience overall is to do activities that increase your patience. So this is one that it's like, but some examples online were literally like knitting, gardening, fishing, literally fishing. You know how patient you have to be to fish? Play with children. baking is a huge patience thing because you got to put something in the oven for at least 20 minutes. I would say on every 20 minutes to like an hour for most baked goods. But I'm like, that is another thing I noticed. I think about it and I'm like, I always do no baked recipes because it's like I want that. I want it right away. I want instant gratification. But I promise you, it's always so much better when it's warm. And then when you put it in the oven, the first thing I always do, take a bite of it and burn my mouth. It's like, girl, if you would have just been a little patient, let it cool down and set up, it would have tasted so much better. So self-control, patience, purpose, perspective, all of it goes hand in hand. It really, really does. And then the last way to kind of work on patience is just to practice delayed gratification. So actually actively do this. So begin saying no to instant pleasures. And that I think is going to be the hardest thing because it's like naturally we seek out the quickest way, the quickest route. We try to get instant gratification. It's just how we're wired. But actively start saying no to those things. And you will gain so much patience from that. And that's one thing I'm going to start doing. I think I'm going to challenge myself at least once a week because saying once a day is a lot, but maybe once a day. But it's like I'm going to start saying no to those things that I can get gratification instantly from. But yeah, that is my spiel. That is my take on patience. And like I said, it really ties back to self-control and finding your purpose and just enjoying the journey itself and just building a strong mind because it's like life can be so much more beautiful, so much happier, so much more joyful if we were just a little more patient. And patience is such a beautiful thing. And like I said, it's a skill, and remember that. You can gain and develop patience. It's not something you're born with and born without. Like you can be a patient person and it will feed back to you in so many beautiful ways. So learn to be patient, friends. I love you so much, and we will chat next week. Bye, guys.